And if you are tuned in to supertalktv.com, or maybe you're streaming us live over at supertalk.fm, you'll see I'm not alone today in the studio, and you are in for a treat because we have got a group of ladies out of Poplarville, Mississippi. They have been named CMT's Next Women of Country, and I'm talking about the group Chapel Hart. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
And I have to say, one of my Good Things listeners sent me a message probably a month or two ago and said, you need to put Chapel Hart on your radar. You need to put Chapel Hart on your radar. They are just, they're blowing up in the best ways possible, and they're talented. And I wrote you guys down, like I do with a lot of my listeners who give me good things to go after. And a couple weeks went by, and then y'all popped up on my Facebook feed again. I said, I'm finding out who Chapel Hart is. It is a sign. And then when I started listening to you ladies' music, I go, why aren't they on my playlist? Why didn't I know about you guys? But that's kind of how it is. It starts, you feel like we all say, oh, it's an overnight success. But for you ladies, you have been sort of trenching it for absolute years.
Yes.
Let's introduce you first, because other than Chapel Hart. So we'll take it from this side.
So I'm Danica.
I'm Devin.
And I'm Tree.
And we're Chapel Hart.
So this wasn't your first rodeo.
I said between videos and interviews, we've done that only about 8,000 times. So that one ought to be good. If everything else is a mess, that We're Chapel Hart should be solid.
Okay, so that's a great name. Let's start there. How did the trio come together as Chapel Hart? And whoever wants to take it can.
So this is Danica, and it all started out with Tree and I. I lost my job back in home. I was working at the hospital at Pearl River County Hospital in Poplarville, and I lost my job there, and it hit me. It was finally like, if you're ever gonna take a stab at being a professional musician, then this is your time. Like, this is it. You'll never have another chance. And so Tree lived in New Orleans already, and she and her sister would write us. They'd write me every now and then, be like, you need to come down here and sing or do music or something. Like, come down. And just literally, like, Poplarville's like maybe an hour and 15 minutes from New Orleans, depending on how fast you drive. And it's just like worlds difference, because we grew up and we were like, oh, everyone's dying in New Orleans. Like, you're not going to make it if you go. And so I was just like, no, thank you, guys. There you go. And so finally I called and I was like, hey, is that offer does that still stand? And so it started out as Tree and I. We grabbed a keyboard. We made a little set list of like 10 songs, and we went down to Royal Street. We started singing, and people started stopping and listening, and we were just having a good time. And then, in a pretty short time, we made it to a friend of ours, invited him to come sing at his place. And the rest is kind of...
Yeah, we thought we were fancy. We were singing indoors.
Yeah. Which now you probably have to sing outdoors.
Right.
Go back in the outdoors.
Back to our roots.
Okay, well, but you couldn't have started singing just whenever, you had lost your job there. Your love of music, as talented as you ladies are, had to start way back when. I mean, especially with you being family. So did you come from a family of singers, or was music something always, going on?
Oh, yes.
Our grandmother had 17 kids. And so from those 17 kids, there are 108 grandchildren. And so, like, growing up,
was fun.
Right. Well, every day was pretty much like, not every day was Christmas, but like all of our family gatherings, it was always singing and music being played. Like, our grandfather was a preacher. Uncles are preachers and deacons. Our dad's a preacher. So it was like growing up in church, we were always around music, whether we wanted to be or not.
We got like the old school church, and you remember how back in the day they were like, we went to church every day of the week. Well, they didn't stop by the time we got here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
You missed Wednesdays.
Did I miss?
Wednesdays was choir rehearsal.
Yeah.
Choir rehearsal and Bible study. Prayer meeting on Thursdays. Kids
the women meet on
Saturdays.
the women meet on Mondays, the guys meet on Tuesday, and our dad took us everywhere, so we were with the guys. I mean, we never got a break. So
and then Sunday, some people say 2 times on Sunday. Sometimes we'd have to go 3 or 4 different other services after our services on Sundays.
But I think the one thing I am glad of is that they always made us sing. So that was kind of where we got our love for music, I think.
Well, Not all of us.
Yes.
Oh, where'd you get your love?
It was beat into her. Back.
There you go.
It was forced into me.
I was just going to say, Devin, because Danica and Trey, you guys kind of went to New Orleans and then you kind of left that out. When did you join the trio? When did it become a trio?
So close to me coming in, they had another singer, and she had to go back home to Australia. And at the same time, I had just recently lost my job. Our parents raised a bunch of failures, obviously.
Job losers here.
I think it may be faith taking its route.
Right. But so I had just lost my job.
From now on.
And so I didn't really know what I was going to do because I'm like, dude, I'm 20. I had tried college. I didn't really like what I was in school for. So I really had no idea what I was going to do. So I called Danica, and I was kind of like,
no, Danica, tell her what you really said.
No. She was like, oh.
I don't know how to say it.
Well, so she's like, I lost my job, and life is so terrible. And so I was like, well, why don't you come sing with us? I said, and it'll just kind of keep a little money in your pocket until you find what you want to do. And she's like, well, I don't even know how to sing. And I was like, you're so dramatic. I mean, you could sing and make a little money, or you
had to sing. I mean, you made a joyful noise with the choir.
Well, listen.
I knew she could sing. She was always Dev is always super shy, and like she's come out of her shell a little bit, but like she's super, like kind of introverted.
There has to be one,
right? Yeah. And I'm probably loud
Somebody's
enough for the three
it.
of us. And
Somebody's got to be the
someone's
reserved
gotta be
one.
Quiet. And but my dad used to, like, we would show up to churches and stuff that he'd go and preach at, and I was like, the whole drive over there he would never say anything, and then he'd get in church and go, I got my daughter Danica here and she's gonna sing a solo. I'm like, Daddy, you could have warned me. I could have been thinking about something like over here. And so I just started. I said, you know what? If I got her and my little brother, I'm gonna make them work too. So I used to just like train them at home.
Well, now when she says train, she means freaking drilling it into you. Like, we would be up at 1 o'clock in the morning going over like a 7-part song with two kids.
Some of the hardest music.
But
in the
Danica,
world.
you said earlier on Good Things, when you lost your job at the hospital there in Poplarville, you were like, well, now is the time, if I'm ever going to do it, to pursue a career in music. So whenever this was, back when you guys were kids and singing in the choir at church, did you have the dream and the wish of making it professionally in music, and then life took you in a different direction?
No. I think probably for now.
Sounds like you were foreshadowing it long before.
Danica, I literally was cleaning out my room at home.
At what age?
This was recently, recently cleaning out my room at home, back at our parents' house, and I was going through stuff, and I found this thing, and it was from Danica when she was in 2nd grade, and it says, what do you want to be when you grow up? It literally says a superstar.
Well, it says, what is your goals for next year for 3rd grade?
Yeah,
and I was like, to be a star. I was like,
and I'm like, well,
didn't happen in 3rd grade, but thank the Lord I was faithful and patient.
It's in his timing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should never give up.
His timing, honey.
All in his timing. And it sounds like, though, I mean, I know, and what I love too about your story is life threw you some curveballs, but you guys, took the opportunity and, shifted and thought, well, now is sort of the time, now or never, really. Okay, let's chronologize, like, where is this in the timeline when you came in, because, the last couple of years have been crazy with, like, pandemic and all of that. So when
I came in 2018.
So you guys, Danica and Trey, were already kind of making a name for yourself on the streets of New Orleans, which sounds terrible, singing.
Yes.
It's okay. Devin always says, they were working the corners of New Orleans.
Yeah, I always tell people,
set up on the street corners.
They were street workers.
Right.
Your parents are
in the best way.
Right.
In the best way.
In the best way. You were getting paid to keep your clothes on.
There you go.
I'm sorry, Mom.
This is turning.
This is just sinking. So that was like 2016, 2017, you said. Mm-hmm. So you guys really have been working for years to get to this
start.
We
started in like 2014.
Right.
And so that's why I was literally talking to a girl named Lisa at Bank Plus in Picayune, and she was like, She said, does people ever tell y'all, like, it feels like y'all are overnight sensation? I was like, yeah, overnight, like the last 10 years. I was like, it feels like about to be 10 years. Yeah.
I feel like that's a phrase I'm starting to loathe. And now I understand why, even like whenever Chris Stapleton said, like, I've been doing this for 20 years and now I'm overnight. But like now people see us and we've been going at it since like we first started in 2014. And now it's 2021. And they're like, oh, y'all just started. Wait, no, we didn't just start.
No, but when CMT labels you the next women of country, people start to take notice. And we're going to get more of Chapel Hart coming up next here on Good. You can watch SuperTalk Mississippi on your computer or mobile device. So we hope that you watch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV devices, and even YouTube. So if you are wanting to stream, you can do that over at supertalktv.com. You'll see I've got 3 lovely ladies in the studio with me today. I have been so excited to get Chapel Hart in here and meet Danica, Devin, and Trey as they are CMT's Next Women of Country. And I have to say, why country? I mean, you grew up gospel, which is and then you go to New Orleans and you're singing on the street, which is, I would think, more soulful, more, R&B or blues or jazz or whatever that may be. But country, I mean, it works. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, how country?
How, yeah.
Well, this is true. And a lot of people say, like, why did y'all choose country? How did you get into country? And yeah, it's true. We grew up singing gospel in church, but we grew up in Poplarville, Mississippi. First of all, it ain't a lot of good radio reception down there. So you're going to get Kicker 108 or some classical music, and that's about it.
Strongest channel, yes.
And so, like, it's just a part of life. Like, it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, whether you're shopping or riding or hanging out, getting your hair done at the beauty shop, there's country music playing everywhere. And then when we moved to New Orleans, people were like, what are y'all going to do? What do y'all want to sing? And we're like, well, we want to sing country. And they're like, no one sings country in New Orleans. And so, like, when we started our cover band, it was kind of like just a hodgepodge of everything that we like. We went from Johnny Cash to Outkast to Metallica to, some Alanis Morissette, some of everything.
I'm going to need to hear the Metallica.
Come on. We played a private gig in Dallas, and he was like, y'all doing Metallica this year? I was like, okay, here we go.
But like, it was just always in us. It always has been. And it wasn't until, like, whenever Devin joined and we were like, okay, we have to like hunker down and do what we really want to do and like what we identify with and like the music that made us. And it seems like as soon as we really started following our hearts and following who we really were, like all the doors just opened.
Yeah, and it works.
And I always say country, we didn't choose country music. Country music chose us.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was like, rock.
Yeah, well, but I think, the beauty of country music is storytelling. I mean, other genres have their place. Obviously, good music in general is storytelling, but country music at its core. And you ladies, from what I've listened to over, the last little while getting ready for you to be here on Good Things, y'all do that so well with your 3 different personalities. Do y'all... I mean, when you came together, I mean, I know you don't label the shy one, Dev, the outspoken one. But I mean, it feels like, you fall into your pieces in the story. Do y'all look for songs that, sort of help with amplify that?
I kind of feel like whenever we write our songs, I think that might be why our music is so relatable to more people, because whenever we sit down and write, like, we can tell the same story but from 3 completely different perspectives, because like you say, we're completely different people. And the mean person might identify with what I had to say. It might not be the nicest way to put it, but for the more more soft and subtle folks, Danica has a way of like pulling at your heartstrings. And like, because like whenever we don't really choose a lot of outside songs. I guess we have a couple on our album.
Do all 3 of y'all write?
Yeah, we all write most of our songs. I think that's what surprised most people.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out this Nashville thing. And so, like, Nashville is... there's 3 or 4 writers who'll get together and they schedule appointments to write, and they write all, maybe take 3 appointments a day. And so then when the song comes out, there's this person as a writer. And so as the people are like learning about us and they're like getting into our music, so they're like, okay, who wrote this? We're like, we did. And they're like, well, who'd y'all write it with? And we're like, the other 2 of them, like us. And so like people are like, whoa. And so like but I don't know. So I think we're in a weird place because we kind of have a magic that I think happens when we three write together, but we're also, I guess, trying to pull, kind of get in the field as well, so that way I guess we're
get in the flow and sort of see what's
so
out
we're
there.
making friends on the playground, and but it's a different
process.
Yeah, it's a different experience. Like it's.
But just like the song that you led in with, "I Will Follow," that was one of the first outside songs that we had taken, and it was written by Jennifer Hansen and Nick Brophy. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because whenever we first heard the song, like I didn't think. You listen to music and it's like, I can identify with that. That's like, that's my song. Those are my people. But whenever we heard the song and, they pitched it to us, like, it felt like a song that we wrote. Like, it was literally like our journey. Like, just regardless of all the no's that you might get, just keep on going, follow your heart.
It's interesting because you mentioned, Danica, that y'all had, it's been the three of y'all, or the two of you and then the three of you for like almost 10 years. You've been beating down doors, you've been putting in the grunt work, you've been making it happen, and now you've reached this point where, the music industry is interested in you. Is there a little bit of are you guarded just a little bit, or are you ready for it? I mean, it's an interesting, I think it would be an interesting dynamic to have been, be scrappy for so many years, and now it's like someone wants to come in,
right? And we
maybe that's that Mississippi backwoods in me that's like,
wait a minute. But I think that you're 100% right. We've done everything ourselves. If we had to get a bus, we had to go out and raise money for that bus, and we went and we purchased it or whatever. And so everything that we've done, it's been us. So I think that we do go in kind of guarded, because especially the way the music business has changed. So you can sign a record deal today, and it could really mean nothing. Like, you could get out no more songs than you already have, right. And really it could ultimately end up holding you up, because the record label can go, you're not putting that album out, you're not putting that single out, you're not doing this. And so whereas at first, before, you could go, I love this song, I'm putting this song out, and you could just put it out. So we are super guarded about that, but definitely open-minded. It kind of like the songwriting. We all agreed that we let the song speak, and the song would, whatever the best song wins, and if it's not ours, that's okay. But if it speaks, that's it. I will follow. Somebody said on the comment, they were like, "Oh, here they go talking about skin color and so on and so forth." And I was like, well, considering 3 white people wrote this, I don't know if we still get slack for that or not. But so that's kind of fun. But so we're open, but definitely call up now.
But I think that's part of the journey, and I think that's part of one reason why you'll look back and be so grateful for the 10 years that, you did it by yourself or for yourself, and know who you sort of are. And Devin, you got, as you said, kind of thrown into this, or pulled into this, or coerced into this,
kidnapped.
Forced
against my will.
Lighter work than kidnapped.
Into it, or however it may be. It can be, the three of you have to be able to stick together to sort of make it. I know one of your upcoming shows that we want to promote here on Good Things, I think it's January the 8th, back in your hometown, is with another Mississippi boy, Todd Tilghman, who could tell you the other side of getting your name out there, which actually would be winning something where you're tied to different people's opinions or whatever it may be. So it's always interesting to me to hear the different avenues in which to make it to the point where you have your breakthrough kind of moment, which y'all definitely have, which what I would assume would be the moment when CMT comes out and says, that you're the next women of country. I know how it happened, hard work, but walk us through when that moment happened.
Oh, well,
or how it happened, or where it happened.
Well, our managers told us, and first of all, we thought that it was just like a cruel joke. It was like, you don't play like that. Come on now.
I told him, I said, I was like, are you serious? Because this is like telling somebody you got cancer and then saying, I'm just kidding. You can't do that.
Right.
And so I was like, so we were like, are you serious that CMT is asking us if we will be the next woman of the country? And they were like, here's the email.
I was like, well, it's not spam.
It was like, oh my. So we all three called each other. I think this is one of the rare moments that we were home and kind of all in our own spaces. And so we just called each other and we were like, y'all, can you believe it? So we had a moment. Well, I'm sure our neighbors and phone company hated us because we just screamed in the phone, it felt like, for 15 minutes. But
did you feel like you were finally validated, like you were finally arrived? Or had you already felt that before that moment?
I didn't.
I have to say, I definitely did, even just because like so many awesome women have come up through that institution of Next Women of Country. Like Mary Morris, like whenever she first started on the Next Women of Country, not a lot of people knew who she was, but like look at her now. And then you look at like, you know, Casey Musgraves, all the women who are like dominating right now. We're going through that same pipeline that they're in, and you know, especially growing up watching CMT our whole lives, and then it's like,
who are the ladies you grew up watching on CMT?
I watched a lot of Reba. I love me some Reba.
Yeah. Martina.
My 100% favorite in life is Gretchen Wilson.
Yes. I figured we would reserve for.
I love it.
I would marry women, I would marry her, I believe.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, you could just be friends with her. Like if there was like a lifelong commitment to where you had to be attached to her hip forever. Not saying that's what marriage is like if you want to go get married.
I don't know.
Well,
we got more with these wonderful ladies of Chapel Hart coming up next. We're getting more behind the scenes look with Chapel Hart. They are CMT's Next Women of Country. They're coming up that way, and they're here on Good Things as well as streaming live over at supertalktv.com. We would love to have you there. And ladies, I've just loved this conversation so much and getting to know you. We've had several people text in, Danny in Starkville specifically, said he got to see you guys 3 times at Franklin Brown International Songwriters Fest, which he went above and beyond to say it's an honor to be invited. And then he got to meet you guys in the green room, wonderful young women, saying that you know that you have to be at a level to even get invited to that fest. So kudos to you ladies for that, especially when it's a songwriter. I mean, that's not only you singing it, but that's also acknowledging your writing for that. I know there has to be a lot of full circle moments, decade into this thing. Not to mention, Danica, I know you're taking a sip of water. I mean, you've pretty much been prophesying this since the 3rd grade.
Right. I missed my opportunity in the 3rd grade, but I was.
But you made it. You weren't late. God's never late with His timing, right? So, what are some of those moments where? And I know you're still pinching yourself with different things, but where along the way has it been like, wow, like those full circles, pinch me kind of moments?
I think there's so many we can probably all share one.
Yeah, it's like I'll share one.
Not my first, but probably my biggest full circle moment. One day we were in Nashville and we got an email to come in, and it was like, hey, I'm a so-and-so on Gretchen Wilson's team, and she saw an interview that you guys did, and we mentioned her in the interview, and so she really wants to meet you guys. And so I'm already like, and then, because like I said earlier, I love Gretchen Wilson, and so we get ready for the Zoom call, and honestly, prior to the Zoom, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to respond, how I'm going to act. I didn't know. I just knew I was about to talk to Gretchen Wilson. She gets on the screen, and literally my life is over. Because for whatever reason, I want to talk, but nothing's coming out.
Well, good thing is she probably thought it was just like a digital glitch.
Maybe, but, and so, we're talking. We were on there for like 30 minutes, and the entire 30 minutes, I literally did not say one word to her. And at the
end of wave bye when it was over there?
I did. And at the end of the call, she was like, maybe next time I'll get to hear what your voice sounds like. And I'm like, well, at least she wants to know. I started crying. I was like, at least she wants to know what my voice here sounds like. It was embarrassing, but it was great, and I'm ready for my next meeting with her because I will talk.
Well, she definitely listens to good things. So, Gretchen.
There we go, Gretchen. Gretchen, you're listening.
Devin's ready for her round.
I'm ready.
For her sort of round
Take me back.
We had someone else ask about working with Billy Gibbons. So, was that a full circle moment?
That was, for me, especially because like when I was in middle school, I was convinced I was going to be this phenomenal guitar player. And then I broke 5 fingers and realized I'm just too clumsy for that kind of stuff. But I remember watching this interview with Jimi Hendrix because I was obsessed with him. And they said, who is your favorite guitarist? And he said, Billy Gibbons. And that's how I found out who he was. It's like, wait a minute, if this is my idol's idol, he must be like the guitar god. And so, you know, growing up, I realized we already knew a whole lot of ZZ Top songs. They're kind of like just embedded in life at this point. But I kind of think it was like one of our bigger jumping off points because after we wrote the song Jesus and Alcohol, we let our manager, not our manager, we let our booking agent, Jeff Hill in Nashville, listen to it. And he was like, don't touch it. Don't change anything. This is awesome. And then so like we finally got it recorded and he sent it to Billy. And he said usually Billy Gibbons doesn't like respond to his text for anything. He'll text him and then like, you know, 4 or 5 months later, he'll like respond in a riddle. No clue what's going on.
Maybe that's how I should do text from now on.
Yeah.
Oh, it is really like deciphering riddles.
Definitely riddles.
It's like when the crow flies over the big Montana sky, and it just means I'm on my way
it
or something.
It takes all of us to figure out what the heck he's even talking about.
Billy,
I'm like, Uncle Billy.
But like whenever he sent him the song, he said that he like texted back almost immediately and said, this is the freshest thing I've heard in at least a decade. This is awesome. These girls are good. And so so our booking agent sent him a couple more songs because he used to represent ZZ Top. And he's like, I love this. I love the sound. I love the girls. I love this music. I want to know more about him. But at this point, he hadn't sent him a picture yet. And so finally, he texted him over a picture of us, and he said he called him back, and he said, "Now wait a minute, you got to be pulling my leg. What is this?"
Wait, what? You know,
and he.
I think it was a full circle moment for him because I think when ZZ Top, he was telling us when ZZ first came out, everybody thought they were a black group from Memphis. They were doing a show out there, and he was like, they showed up, and they were like, "Who are you?" He was like, "Oh, we're ZZ Top."
Yeah, it's kind of like the opposite.
Yeah, so it was probably a full moment for him.
And so he was like, "Well, whatever. Like, I love it. I'm on board. Whatever these girls need, whatever I can do to help, like, let me know, and I will be there." And as the Lord would have it, I still sometimes feel like COVID happened just for us because, you know, they couldn't do their Las Vegas residency, had all this free time, and, you know, I don't think it's quite an easy thing to just slip into ZZ Top's schedule, like talking about. So, you know, the Lord had to shut the world down so he could open his schedule and come down and shoot some videos with us.
Amen.
But still, though, I think, you know, finding those silver linings in any of the curveballs that life gives you, which is where y'all's story started from the beginning, you know. Danica, this may have never happened had you not lost your job at the hospital. Not that there's anything wrong with,
but you are 100% right. And it's trusting that God kind of closes the doors that need to be closed at the right time and opens the doors that need to be open. Because when I first lost my job, I was like, in Poplarville, like if you are working at the hospital, like that's, you know,
stable.
You done made right. That's stability.
As it goes in Poplarville.
And so I was like, what do you do after you work at the hospital? Where am I going to go? And so yes, no, you're 100% right. And so, and kind of that like full circle moment, like I was always such a fan of Lady A and, you know, just love their music and love the harmonies, which is, you know, kind of what we do-ish. But we were at the CMT Artist of the Year Award. And so as we're finishing up the red carpet, we're going around and Charles points over and he goes, "That's them." And so I like look behind us and I'm like, y'all, there's nobody behind us. There's nobody, they know us. Like, so like that was a full, and then, you know, Randy Travis, the king of our world, and he was like, there's a guy, someone on his team was he was like, this is an up and coming trio in Chapel Hart. He doesn't speak as well since he had his stroke. Right. And so he used like everything in him and he was like, I know who they are. And I was like,
that information.
We screamed. I said, that's what she was like. Tree said, I almost died in the car. I said, we probably almost killed him with all them loud frequencies because we screamed something loud.
You probably woken something up in here.
Right? Scared his whole family, Lord.
Walking by us, just looking at us freak out. And we're like, not even caring. I'm like, who let these hillbillies to the freaking awards?
Right?
Well, I feel like y'all have way many more full circle moments ahead of you in your career. But Devin, going back to like talking about, you know, how you got pulled into this. This was not even on your radar. Like you didn't want a music career.
Girl, let me just tell you, I had one song that I was supposed to sing in church when I was like 7. I mean, we practiced it. Okay, I wasn't 7. I was probably like 13. Right. But we had practiced this song, and they played the first note of that song, girl, and I ran to the bathroom and I started crying because I'm like, I'm not gonna sing in front of all these people.
The director was like, Devin, are you sure you're gonna sing? She was like, oh yes, ma'am.
She must have known.
Those poor kids practiced for like 4 weeks on this song, and literally the piano player was like, bling, and Devin was like, she just took off running. I was like,
I definitely, I planned on going to college. I was gonna be an athletic trainer or a psychologist. Like I had my life.
I politely told her, you can get on that stage with us and you can run off if you want to. I'm coming to find you. You gonna sing, okay?
But even when she first started, the first 2 shows, like, okay, the first show, I'm not gonna say she did a bad job because she was lip syncing. You can't sing bad if you weren't singing.
Exactly.
So,
you need a 4? I can do that. Let's throw
they won't let you get away with it.
The Chapel Hart Choir.
They won't let you get away with it more than once. So you only got one lip syncing night.
You got your feet under
the first night, that's kind of how that went. The bass player was like, is she going to be getting paid the same as all of us?
She's not singing.
Whatever.
Like,
she's family.
So Danica was like, maybe you should loosen up for the next show. Take a couple shots. Well, a couple shots turned into 4 daiquiris and several shots.
Oh, and then now it says karaoke.
And then it was,
yeah. So literally the show was like, we were only about halfway through the show. I was like, you're finished. You can go sit down now. And she was like, okay.
I'm so excited.
But by show 3, it started to
I don't know about
together.
3. I would say about maybe 4 or 5.
But you never gave up on her.
We're still praying today.
Oh no, she can say what she wants, but I have to say, like, especially starting out in New Orleans, because like Dan and I were doing it for 3 or 4 years before Devin came along, and I would look at other artists in New Orleans who had been there 10 years longer than I had even been there and hadn't grown as much as she did in the first 3 months in about 10 years.
Yeah,
so
because we had a heck of a show, honey. Like
when it clicked, it
Tree was like,
and we're going to give you a way that you can hear Chapel Hart in person coming up next here on GoodThings.org. And also, don't delay in getting your tickets to Home is Where the Hart Is, which is y'all's upcoming concert, and that is the Chapel Hart, who is coming back home to the Brownstone Center there in Poplarville, Mississippi, January the 8th. And you've got some friends, Mississippi friends, who is joining you on that lineup. So how did this concert come about? We did a Facebook poll. We were like, we were talking and we were like, we should do a big show to open the year, And so we said, how about we let them vote for it? So some way and somehow between New Orleans, the Gulf Coast, and Slidell, Poplarville pulled out, and they brought it on in for the win. So we're like, guess we're doing a show in Poplarville. We never thought we'd be saying that. And so that's how Home is Where the Hart Is started. And so January the 8th, and we were like, come on, we got to have some Mississippi folks. So we got to add some Mississippi folks to the bill. So we're going to have Todd Tilghman there. Yeah. We're going to Emily White's going to open up our VIP show. She's from Meridian as well. Hannah Everhart, who was on American Idol, she's going to open the show with the national anthem. And so and Buddy Jewell, I talked to him yesterday. He was like, he cannot wait to get to Mississippi. He said, because there's something that water in Poplarville, and I will be bringing it back with me. He said, because if all 3 of y'all sing like that, it's something in the water. They feeding y'all good or something. All right, Devin, is this going to take you back to your choir days? Coming back home?
I think I'm pretty much past that point. As long as I got them with me. If I'm singing by myself, it's a little questionable. Maybe.
Have her open the show with a solo.
Yeah, that would never happen.
4 or 5 daiquiris, that's all it takes. You got one good song in you, and then
you might be right about that.
But I know it's got to be exciting coming home, and I know you guys still have so many hopes and dreams of where you want to take your career, but to Mississippi and to Poplarville, I mean, you guys have got, I don't know my music history, but I'm going to guess y'all may be the highest charting group out of Poplarville.
I think so.
I mean, maybe not out of Mississippi yet. Right. You still got a little ways to go for that one, but I mean, I'm just going to go on and get
out of Poplarville for sure.
We're going to honorably go ahead and grab that title. Humbly grab that title.
Jason says, I'm jealous, figures I'm not home when Chapel Hart comes through, adore their music.
Jason, we love you.
Cancel your plans.
Yes. Yes.
And Buddy Jewell, dang it, he
Right.
says. And I hope that the listener who forwarded me your name is listening to Good Things Today. Forgive me for deleting that email, but I wrote down the name, so that's the most important. Your guys' name.
We're here.
So what's it like though to know that your hometown and Mississippians across the state have really rallied around you, even if you don't even know it, right? I mean, people who are like rooting for you. They want to see Chapel Hart on, top of the chart, all the charts.
It feels like that there's been like a surge of Mississippi, like, I don't know. And like we've gotten this big, huge, I feel like we've gotten a big hug from Mississippi, and they're like, go do it, girls. We need you. Like, we need you, girls. And so.
Yeah. And I was like, now I'm like, but we didn't know, we didn't know that we needed to.
Right. And that's
what I we didn't know you. But as we find out about you, we're like, yes, those are our girls.
And I think a lot of people just didn't really know about us for a while, and now that we're kind of getting a lot of talk going on, it's just like Danica said, it feels like a big hug, and it feels so good to have Mississippi support. It's like if we don't have anybody else's support, we should have Mississippi support.
Tony Smith's look forward to seeing y'all in Poplarville. He's from Picayune.
Hey, Tony.
So it's going to be a fun time.
Yes,
it really is.
And not in Mississippi and Louisiana. Like, I feel like there's I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that should just be like, if we can smush that to one thing, that'd be amazing. But like we just cover
Mississippiana.
I think I would need a little more Mississippi than just the
Mississippiana.
Figured it out. Speaking of Picayune, Paul's Pastry.
Oh, I love me some Paul's pastry. I can't wait to get a.
Now, New Orleans got its good food going on. You can't deny that scene. But when y'all do come back home to Mississippi, where are you going?
Wards.
No. Every time.
Wait, Wards in Poplarville and Stonewalls in Picayune.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's times we've spent more time in Pearl River County getting ready for this show than we have in like the last couple years. And like, I'll send them a message. I'll be in front of Stonewalls all sad. They're closed today, y'all.
If Tony is still listening, we need a lifetime Stonewalls and Ward sponsorship. Like, even if they close down, you have to promise that they'll have someone who'll still
and we could just come
cook
to your house.
for us. Yes, if we have to come to your kitchen to pick it up, we will.
It's funny. Danica and I both worked at Wards in high school, and so you would think we hate it.
We'd be tired of it.
Not.
We ate it every day.
So that is my daughter's favorite place. The closest one for us here centrally is Pelahatchie, and I actually looked for her Wards pajamas for Christmas, and they don't make them. So somebody needs to figure out how to get some apparel out for Wards. And I have another first time listening today, one of my new favorites. So how can we find Chapel Hart if we want to go and buy your music?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You are also on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, Farmers Only, Christian Mingle, all that good stuff. Anywhere online.
And January 8th in Poplarville, the home is where the heart is at. Make sure you get your tickets. We're gonna keep up with you, ladies. We are rooting for you. Good things, love y'all.
And remember, that's Chapel Hart, chapel like a church, HART.
And stick with
I've also realized a lot of people don't know how to spell chapel, so CHAPEL.
Oh, I like Chappelle.
Stick with us. You got more coming up next here on Super.